with me as well. And with rankings.io, he's been doing this stuff for a little while. I wanted to bring him in here. I know that probably a lot of people that are on this call know who he is, and we're going to ask some really good questions. And I encourage you guys down below, if you have any questions, definitely. Let's see if we're live or not. Is it? Oh, is it black? Let's see. Hold on one second.
Oh, we're live. We're rocking.
Okay, you can see that it's. Are you seeing that it's okay? Okay, good. So you know, I'm, I've been doing, the Google Business Profile optimization for a little while, and doing the agency thing for a while, and Chris, came onto my radar screen probably about, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. We were working on some of the same clients, and yeah, and I'm really excited to, like I said, to have you on. Hopefully, okay, it is. Oh, it is live. Okay, good. Yeah, I was just freaking out because the last two that we did, it, like I said, it didn't go live. Um, so with that, just say a little about yourself, who you are for people that don't know you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Ryan. So,
Yep.
Chris Dreyer, been doing digital marketing for 16 plus years. Had the agency rankings.io for approaching 11 years, I guess. And we work with about 130-ish firms currently. 110 are probably personal injury law firms, some of the largest in the country, certainly some of the biggest in their state. And I host the Personal Injury Mastermind podcast. So deep in the search engine marketing game, and that's how we've come across each other.
Yes, and yeah, and we really specialize in local service ads at Accelerate Marketing, and yeah, that's I'm really excited to have Chris on the call today because I mean we're both agency owners, and we work with a lot of the same people, and I feel like you always are trying to stay ahead of the curve. You're going to all the events that are out there. What right now do you see as being the some of the top trends out there for just digital marketing in general? I mean, let it not just search engine optimization, but just in general.
Geez, that's a big question. I would say that in general, Google Ads are emerging more as a premier channel than it had been in the past. I think that certainly local services ads, especially with some of the announcements that they're going to be shown in the map pack. So from the search engine perspective, greater emphasis on reviews. I think that there is a lot of opportunity in paid social. I think that most individuals who try to do organic social are kind of spinning their wheels. They're wasting a lot of their time. That takes a deep commitment in regards to the content that they create, the consistency, the quality, the hooks, the messaging. I think that OTT and streaming is close. It's certainly the most targeted, but it's so fractured that the CPMs are really high. And whether you're using DPSs like Stack Adapt, Simply, Simplify, the Trade Desk, what have you, I'd say in most situations, especially for personal injury law firms, they're probably not isn't ideal. I would say that to reach their younger audience is probably on the paid social side. But there's a lot of emerging things if we're talking about AI, images, mid journey. There's a lot of deep fakes. There's transcriptions, data, and analytics. So definitely a lot on this side of the coin. But you can go any direction you want.
Yeah, no, I'm really. I mean, you started off with something I did not expect there. Google PPC. I mean, you're seeing that it's still holding up. I mean, in terms of because I am seeing, and we've seen a lot of, it seems like cannibalism, from the pay per click side with from LSA or local service ads, and there's even this week, there's a lot of changes. I mean, there's always change in all these platforms, and we'll get to Google Business Profile. I mean, like for example, GBP this week or next week is going to be getting rid of chat. That's so there's some changes. I personally think that Google is trying to get everything to go from Google Business Profile over to local service ads. I really, it's just, because I mean, they're taking away features from the Google Business Profile platform, and they're keeping them on the local service ads platform, or enhancing them. Right? You can actually send a lead or a message lead to up to four different businesses, through
Oh
messages.
yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Would you like to send it to these other four firms? Look, it's there's a question mark around how Google's going to combat spam, fake reviews, fake offices. Local services ads has an additional layer of credibility through that verification process. So that could be one step in that direction. Hopefully GBP gets rid of the stupid Google posts. They're terrible. There's no visibility there. It's just a big waste of time. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yes, and I know I've seen some of your podcasts. I listened to your podcast. I mean, you get some really good people on, and I know you're at the tip of the spear for AI. I mean, as you know, response rate is a big part of the local service ad game, and not just for voice but for messages. And so what are your thoughts on leveraging artificial intelligence, not only for local service ads leads, but for all leads in general? What are your thoughts on that, for and not just for attorneys, but yeah.
There's so much here, right? The
Yeah.
AI can be used as a filter for speed. It can be used, for a time saving perspective. You look at like the traditional chats in the legal space, like your Apex and Engage, that has those automated humans and the costs associated, even if they're doing nearshoring, compared to generative or logic based AI, where they're always running. You don't have to have an agent. So there's certainly, it allows you to capture the entire 24/7. There's some emerging, tech on the sales side where every single call gets automatically answered. And as well as I do, I mean, substantially more than I do, the data behind it on if you miss a call in some of these platforms, just how detrimental it will be. The
Yeah.
So there's a ton here in response rates. Look, the local services ads just came out and they updated some of their ranking guidelines, and in some they've removed service area and proximity from some of those different categories. So based upon if it's relevant for a consumer to be seen or not, there's different question marks around how that will impact personal injury attorneys, because today many personal injury attorneys don't even have an office. They work in a remote perspective, just like many digital agencies do. So there's a lot here.
Yeah, there is, and so many prestige pro painters. Great question. So posting on GMB, or GMB, or now it's Google Business Profile updates, does nothing. So the posting feature that you were referring to.
GVP posts may manipulate. You may have a slight benefit from ranking factors. I've seen a lot of local. By the way, I hate the segmentation of these local SEO specialists, but on the local GVP side, um,
Yeah.
they'll say it as a ranking impact. I mean, minuscule. It's more reviews, your category optimization, how you can deploy relevancy from a content perspective. But
Mhm.
I think it's a large waste of time overall. Although, if you're on the agency side like me, and when your client gets one of those notifications that their GBP is no longer showing, that there's an education perspective there that goes into that. So you got to be cognizant of that too.
Yep. Yeah, it's always, it can be a shocker when the GBP goes down, and then also the local service ads. It can be a big shocker, because all of a sudden there's like no
Hmm.
lead volume. How often I mean, you probably get some of those emergency calls
Oh yeah.
every once in a while.
Yeah, I had,
Yeah.
tell you the truth, I had one this weekend, for the 4th of July. I had some competitor change one of our clients' primary category from personal injury attorney to law firm. A public
Mhm.
edit stuck. And so the individual lost some visibility. And I'm like, as an agency owner, it's like, okay, well, I got to take accountability for that. Like, even though we work 9 to 5, I got to cover, the after hours for things like this, and it just is what it is.
Wow. And so for all you guys listening out there, it's important that you hear what what you just said because, your competitors can make edits, suggested edits. I still can't believe that Google allows that. I mean, it just why would they not give you more time? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just I don't know. They're not known for their customer service, but I
Mhm.
mean, and so um yeah, I mean, that's what can happen. And so it is important to have somebody at the helm or like or somebody to be monitoring and we're realizing even as agency owners that that it's even 24/7. It's crazy. And this is where we can use AI. This is where we this is right?
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean, there's an opportunity. If someone can create some external tech that discards public edits, I would be all about it. We'd have it on all profiles. Yeah,
there you go. So if anybody's listening as an agency owner, we have our hands full right now with the the AI that we're building because the response rate is important. Do you think response rate is a factor in GBP?
I do. I do think it
Mm.
is in GBP as well. I mean, absolutely for local services ads. Yeah, there's a real correlation between how often you're logged into GBP and manage the profile versus not.
Yeah.
I think it's another. I think it legitimizes the profile. I think it's just another signal.
Yes.
I'll tell you. We used to. The correlation isn't causation type of deal. We would find
Yeah.
that firms that were consistently adding an image every day ranked better, but was it the image or was it to the fact that we logged into their GPP to make an optimization every day? I don't really know.
Yeah. Right, and that goes along with, like, using Google Analytics, using all the tools that Google gives you. I always like to say, if basically, if we give Google what it wants, then we get what we want, is a really kinda quick way to think about it, and I think that, I've wondered because I've talked to other colleagues of ours about this, about, how could Google actually find out if the calls are being answered on Google Business Profile. I mean, before there was a number that you could use. Like there was a number that you could, so that you could use like the Google number, at one point. And I don't even, and so, they could track that. But if you're not using their number, and I swear, colleagues were telling me they're like, even though there's a way that they're doing it, and I don't know how, they were swearing up and down that they could somehow track the response rate, not just with local service ads, but with the GBP. But, I don't know, like I said, I don't know how they're doing it, but, you know, the and, getting back to the LSA and the GBP connection, we're seeing now that you can run Google local service ads in the map pack or in the GBP section. So again, that's just another thing for me that is like the writing on the wall of where, Google's headed. Like I predict in 4 to 8 years that there's going to be a significant shift. I think that we're gonna see much more. I mean, how can you get any more prominence than the top for for local service ads in terms of the prominence? But at the same time, I think that there's again, if they can take away features from Google Business Profile, I think they're gonna slowly keep moving them up to the LSA so that they can get paid for them. How what else? What about like YouTube content? What about YouTube ads? What are you thinking about YouTube ads right
I
now?
love I love YouTube ads. If you go to rankings, you'll see one of our videos as close to 100,000 views. We're pumping the ads. We're talking top of funnel awareness. I think it's a great channel. I Even though you
Yeah,
can still, you know, add keywords and different audiences and things like that. I don't know that it functions the best from a middle or bottom of the funnel, but I think from a top of funnel perspective,
yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah,
yes, and yeah, I agree for the top of funnel. And by the way, if you guys have any questions for Chris, I mean, he's got years of experience, and so please, put any questions down below. I think we were going to put a poll in there. I don't know if we put a poll together, but and I, this this live when it works, it's great, and I think we've got it solved this time because we just went live on our phone. So I think we're going to start really creating. Speaking of YouTube, this is how we're going to start creating more content to make it quick and easy.
Mhm.
Um, and you're already doing your podcast. Are you doing anything else? What else? What else are you doing for content for yourself?
Podcast. So I host a weekly show, and then we're doing the conference, right? I have a book that's launching, my second book in September, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I've got a team behind me that's helping me with everything. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're hitting pretty much every channel besides traditional, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah, and there's definitely been a big shift to LinkedIn. What percentage do you think of your business is coming from what are your most successful channels for yourself? Just curious. Like, I mean, or do you find it is it the trade shows? Is it LinkedIn? Is it YouTube? Is it podcast? Have do you guys track that?
Yeah, we do. So I'll say on the marketing side, search, Google Ads.
Yeah.
We're committing anywhere from 80 to 100 grand a month ourselves on Google Ads. We
Yeah.
do a decent amount on paid social. We actually have ads running right now, Ryan, on every
Yeah.
single main social channel. Twitter
Wow.
slash X. We have TikTok ads. We've got YouTube ads. We've got LinkedIn ads. Facebook, Instagram, of course. So we're running those heavily. We've got some programmatic stuff going as well. You know, all so ads. I think a lot of times people try to do too much on the organic side, at least on social. Whereas,
Hmm.
the monetization, route for social media, what they follow is in the beginning when they're trying to get content, organic has a lot of reach, but then it goes to kind of pay
Hmm.
to play. We've seen that with TikTok. Um,
Yeah.
for us, it's a lot of ads, eating our own dog food, aka doing some SEO,
Yes.
attending strategic events, and then we've got a big, for our size, I think we got a pretty big sales team. We got around 12 people.
Wow.
So yeah, kind of doing it all though.
Wow. Wow. And I know that you guys, just and I didn't really even know that we are gonna go this direction, but I mean, I know you guys have, like, regular meetings yearly, for as a business. I mean, and I used to think of that as being, kind of like, the mission, vision, value type thing, or mission, vision, core values, and, kind of like woo woo, and it's really important, I think to have those meetings yearly. I know that, a couple times I've reached out to you and you've been at your yearly meeting,
Mhm.
and, so I know you do that yearly. How important are those meetings, you think, for your company? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the bigger you get, the more coordination and communication challenges there are. So,
Yeah.
especially with a remote company, that's when I
Yeah.
always talk about new employees. It's like, look, if you're getting an email or a Slack message, you can emphasize different words differently and interpret them differently. I said, just get on Zoom, pick up the phone. So
Mhm.
we've been running on EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, for 6 or 7 years now. It's quite a while.
Yeah.
So we'll do, weekly level tens. We'll do our quarterly rocks. We'll do our annual in person. We always fly to a location and
Yeah.
really tackle those head on in person. But it's incredibly important. Every In the beginning, when you're a 7-person shop, you can have one meeting and everyone's all aligned. But when you have multiple silos, multiple departments, it's just communication becomes more challenging.
Yeah. I agree, and that's why, that was my point, is that you get together in person. A lot of companies would like to. It's easy to do it in the Zoom culture that we're in right now, to do it over Zoom, but, like you said, like, having I think that there's a lot to going a little bit counter, to the counterculture, like, almost, like our sales guys. Included, my sales team, I'm having them send, like, Loom videos that show that it's actually them. Like they're doing more of that personal touch type thing, like a Loom video with them in the beginning on their phone saying, "Hey," like, and actually even putting like like something below them on a whiteboard that says, "Hey, Jim," or,
Mhm.
Chris, and then it increases the click through rate because it shows up in their text with that
Mhm.
that GIF in the beginning, and it's human. They know it's not automated because you can pretty much everything can be automated now, and it's and somebody even asked, speaking of automation, I use a combination of Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Fay Ave. Yeah, for it, which one do you prefer out of those?
I use
Any?
I use ChatGPT a lot.
Yeah,
Especially for research, it just cuts down the time. And
yeah.
I think, from a search engine perspective, when we're looking at this, I own a search engine marketing agency. We got the AI overviews now, and there is a greater emphasis on entity SEO
Hmm.
as it relates to your business and what entity you're related to, as well as schema markups. Those help facilitate that as long as you're not overdoing it. But like if you put strategic content on your site as it relates to the location, there's a lot of things that goes into that in terms of especially with the partnership of the iOS 15 is going to have all the iPhones and Chat GPT. So I would still be leaning in that direction.
So that you bring up a good point. Let's talk about that. I mean, so I've even talked to some people that I consider like, like not as well versed as you, and obviously in terms of search engine optimization or specialists, and they're just like content writers, and they're going. I mean, Google's a 10,000 pound gorilla out there, obviously, but
Hmm.
there was never a platform that was faster adopted than ChatGPT in history. I mean, it was like a million and like million people or something like that in like 4 days. It was insane. And so, so what I'm so for some people, ChatGPT is kind of like a new search engine. A little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
look at
so
perplexity.ai.
yep.
Yep. So
So how do you build for that? What do you for the business that's out there? Because what we've been doing is, we'll create content all the time about our clients. We'll generate, like you might generate an SEO, a search engine optimized page, using ChatGPT, which is, that's like one of the first uses of it, that people use it for. You could, and then all that content is about that business, and then now ChatGPT has more reference for that business, and so the more that there's content created around a business, the more reference points there are, and the more chance there is that ChatGPT is going to have an understanding of that business, right?
yeah,
Am I saying it?
that's that schema, that's entity SEO in a nutshell. I mean, we're speaking about the same thing. I think the biggest change is we have always historically emphasized starting with the top of the funnel, top of funnel content for awareness, and it's taking a reverse approach and really starting at the bottom of the funnel. So those
Mhm,
practice area pages, those sales pages, depending upon what industry you're in, and then when you're targeting the top of funnel content, it has to be truly unique. If it's been written about 10,000 times and you don't have any added value to that subject, then you probably shouldn't do it. But
mhm,
let me speak to my space. I'm in legal. The
mhm,
Department of Transportation is always 2 to 3 years behind on their data. If you go get their data and use AI to clean it up and create the article on accident statistics and you were the source,
mhm,
then that's a good approach to top of funnel content. But it just depends on back in the day, us SEO people, when I started around 2011, we could write an article on Easing articles and get one backlink and rank, and we would write an article on a topic, and just by the nature of it not being covered, we could rank. So now
yep,
so then it transformed into this quality and long form content to manipulate behavior, bounce rates, time on page. Well, now that's over with. Now it's this kind of like hamster wheel of, oh, their page is 2,000 words, mine's 2,100. So it's going to be
yeah,
looking at other signals, unique perspectives as it relates to the content. And the saying goes is, if by the by the nature of being different, you automatically stand out.
yeah. I agree. So as a business owner, as a small to medium-sized business owner, what these guys can do that are on here, a lot of these guys are on here is create unique content, leverage whatever platform you want to create that content. Look for niches where it's not well organized, like you're saying, or there's not, or where you can add value to it because of your unique perspective on it. and leverage these tools as a multiplier. And um, in addition, that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, all of these are, think of them as a tool to enhance the user.
Yep.
Content, you take content. Look, I've tested Neuron Writer, Phrase, Surfer, Jasper, you name it. I've tested it. Those are not standalone tools. They can enhance your abilities from an ideation perspective, a research perspective, but they're not standalone. You take things like Midjourney for images, right? Those can enhance your capabilities. Now you got the deep fakes. You got Canva has some AI technology related to that as well. So it's just, currently they're not standalone. They enhance your abilities.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, they definitely can enhance your abilities or, give you a multiplier, allow you, if you know how to use these tools and you create the right prompts, that's the other key is to know, like, I don't know if you have a formula that you follow. Like there's, I always like to say that actually the best prompt engineers are mothers and parents because what they're doing is they're good at teaching a little kid, which is basically what this AI is. We got to think of the AI as being like a
Mhm.
child that we're raising and we're teaching from the very beginning. You're giving them context, you're letting them know why, you're giving them a role, you're giving them a tone, you're literally like giving them everything, and so I we it was a challenge in the beginning for us to find a really good prompt engineer that also knew vector databases and things like that can leverage knowledge base, architecture that make it so that the AI is valuable, so that it can actually do things and add value to these to these businesses. So outside of that, what else do you see as a business owner? Um what can what can these guys do? We talked about getting reviews. Reviews are really important, obviously. Just a lot of times I like to just go back to basics with it. I mean, it's like really simple, like creating a review culture, you know, um, where everybody knows and it's like, you keep it, it's one of the metrics that you guys meet with, like, in your EOS meetings weekly or, and you compensate on it, and you can compensate your staff. You can't, pay somebody for a review, but so I agree. Reviews are going to continue to stay in to stay important. Getting even verified reviews. What we'll do. A lot of people ask me, should I get verified reviews or should I get reviews on my my Google Business Profile page? And I'm like, well, 95% of the time we're like, get the reviews on your GBP page because they're shared. You get the double benefit. Sometimes if we look and we see that somebody's outpacing them, and the only thing that's different is that other businesses got verified reviews, then we'll suggest that they get verified reviews. But as you know, it's tougher to get them to go live a lot of times, those verified reviews. So, you know, um, so, I agree that, reviews are going to remain. Um, I think that Google's going to really start favoring towards the verified reviews over time. I think, what do you think about that? About verification for the reviews?
I think it's an additional hurdle. I think they're more trustworthy. Look,
Yep.
it's the review scenario and the SEO space in some of these competitive industries. It's just, it is very toxic. There's so many fake reviews.
I know.
We've got it's just
Wait.
absolutely.
You're not saying businesses pay for reviews. Well, that would never do
Oh, well, it's
that.
it's all over the place. And I mean, we have it's just crazy, right? Paying for reviews. It's individual profiles that are created, that are new, that are multiple locations. It's, one of the things that we do, and it's actually a feature benefit that we use, is we call it competitor takedown. It's like competitors that are violating terms of service, whether it's a fake office,
Yep.
a fake review. It's like we have to do that, because if I, instead of only doing the proactive, oh, I need 10 more reviews to be the most reviewed firm. It's like, well, I could do that, but I could also, nuke 3 reviews that are completely illegitimate, that are break all the guidelines. And so
Yep.
unfortunately it's just a necessity.
Are you reporting a lot of businesses that have like fake locations, and are you successful with getting them removed as well? Yeah,
Yes. Video
yeah.
verification.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. And that's another really big tip that he just said right there, the video verification, like that. This is these are like really. It's important that that as a business owner that you guys understand these these strategies. They're out there. They're possible.
Hmm.
Um, and Google's not going anywhere. You know, uh, where do you see the future of SEO going? I mean, if you had a crystal ball, where would with everything that we talked about, where do you see the yeah,
I mean, if you look at it just as a channel, right?
yeah,
Facebook, Instagram, just to think of it as a channel, they have to have, user created content in order to fulfill that channel. And
mhm,
but look at every single channel, what's happened. Organic visibility, once they get enough content on the platform, organic visibility decreases and it's more pay to play. So I
mhm,
think that's why Google Ads has increased in value, but it also, there's this whole game of attention arbitrage, right? It's
mhm,
and supply and demand. So it's going to continue to change algorithm to algorithm. And if they start to lose visibility and market share to Bing, I guarantee they're going to start increasing more organic search,
yeah,
which they have. Like they just, Bing's last month, they increased more, I think, than Google, in terms of percentage gains, and it was, so it's you just got to be cognizant of it. And but SEO, I mean, it's entity SEO, it's relations. It's starting to learn those different aspects as a from a relevancy perspective.
it, Chris, is there a decline in the overall search volume from Google because of ChatGPT? Have you no?
No, the search volumes can continue to increase. I mean, there's just so much content going out, which, it's new queries and but the overall, who owns the market, in terms of search engines, everyone talks about DuckDuckGo, but they're like, they don't have hardly any audience, but like Bing is rising.
Yeah,
So right
but
now
the
still
so
Google has, I think, 77%, but
oh,
not long ago it was 80 or 82. So,
yeah, yeah. And every point is a huge amount. I mean, that's like
mhm.
a lot of I mean, but it sounds like the overall number of searches is still remaining consistent. In other words, it's not being cannibalized or taken away from by people, searching for business, like on AI or anything like that. I mean, it's the overall search volume is still high. Okay.
Yeah,
And
and
growing.
let's talk about this. People are so worried about the AI overview from Google.
Yeah.
There have been zero click scenarios for the last several years. They were just called rich snippets. If they would have called them AI snippets, it's
Yeah.
the same thing, right? Like it's slightly, they've changed the look of it, how they're pulling to give multiple people a spot up there, but they've had rich snippets for the last few years, and those are zero click scenarios.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I agree. And well, awesome. I really, I'm just trying to think of anything else that, I mean, there's a lot of new technologies that are out there. And I really just wanted to bring you in, to talk to you about, what you're seeing, what you're doing, um like just what's on your mind. And I don't, I wanted to make sure that we don't go too long here, but I do appreciate you joining. If you have any final words, definitely, to anybody that's on. I know we've probably got a decent number of small to medium sized businesses, both attorneys and non-attorneys. um if you have any words of advice for them, it'd be great for you to, share anything else that you want. And let it, where else can people find you? I mean, it's obviously, is it just rankings.io?
Yeah, a couple final words here. Focus more on the creative and the content that you're putting out. I know that you've heard that before, as the content is king thing, but you know, back in the 90s, you could create a generic TV ad from one shoot and run it the whole year and have massive distribution and appeal. Now you got to be more cognizant of how you're different, your unique selling propositions, how you become more memorable with the saturation. So that's a big tip is really focus on the creative, and I use that term loosely. That could mean the copywriting, um, all sorts of things in terms of being memorable. How you can find me, if you're an attorney that wants help with marketing, you can go to rankings.io. Or if you want to connect with me directly, you can go to LinkedIn and just do a search for Chris Dreyer.
Yeah, and I agree, Chris. I think the creative is, being creative is really, is really important. I've got my YouTube channel that I'm creating content on, and um, I find that the more creative I am, and not only in terms of what I'm saying, but even like how I'm delivering the content. Like for example, this is like
Mhm.
it's new, it's different. I mean, everybody that I've interviewed is like, this is not, it's easy. It's on the phone, it can be on the fly, and so I agree with you. I think that's a great final tip, and I would encourage everybody that really does need help. If you're an attorney, oh my gosh, like Chris, they do amazing work, and it's great to have you on the call here, and you're a good friend, and I really appreciate all that you've done for me to because every time that I have a conversation with you, the last time we had a conversation, it shifted the trajectory even for our AI, what we're doing. I mean, because you have such a breadth of of knowledge based on all the podcasts that you do. I mean, it's like which is great, and that's why it's so important, I think, to do this kind of outreach as a business owner, to just stay at the tip of the spear, and then it's a snowball. And so I appreciate that part of what you do as well, because you're a great resource, and I always think a little bit differently every time I talk to you. So thanks, and
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
let me know how I can help you. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ryan.
All right,
Bye
you
now.
bet. Bye bye.